Hello, bonjour, 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 bon Noël from the Le Post and the Broadcasting Corporation. Oh, and that didn't take long at all, did it? Hello, you. Oh, look, we've got some really serious stuff to chat about today, Kat. How are you? How is your Monday? Mine is quite relaxed. So, on that point, um, I will come to that in a minute. I've just seen on the news actually that there is a worldwide outage of, I think it's YouTube and Gmail. So if this vlog doesn't go up today, you'll know why. So I don't want both of you texting me and saying, when's the vlog going up? My worldwide audience. Yeah, so I must be a creature of habit. Actually, I've had a couple of people, and one in particular messaged me again yesterday and said, "Oh, we were discussing other stuff about football, and they said, how's your work going? You haven't mentioned it for ages." Which is true. I used to bang on every day about how I was rushed off my chair. So here's what happened. 3 weeks ago, I was made redundant, so I'm no longer with AGI. My final day was on Friday, and these things always go through a process, so I wasn't able to discuss it anyway. So I no longer work for AGI. Like hundreds of thousands of others, I am currently unemployed. That is fine. It's life at the moment. It's tough out there, and yeah, fully accept that. Why am I doing this? I don't want you to text me and say, "I'm sorry to hear about your job." So it happens. That is life, and I'm always whittering on to you guys about you've got to take something from adversity. And learn lessons. Otherwise, you never learn in life. And now it's time for me to practice what I preach. The reason I'm saying this is because clearly I'm a creature of habit, and I haven't mentioned work for a while. So I have been doing bits of work, but it certainly was less than before, because technically I was on what was known as gardening leave, which is when you are given notice that your job is at risk, and but it has to go through all the formalities. Essentially, it means you've been made redundant, but you're going through the formalities. So anyway, so there we go. So what are the options open to me? Well, I could look for another job doing what I was doing, or I could what else could I do? I could do nothing, but that's not an option for me, is it? Yeah, I have a mortgage on my house. I have bills to pay. I've got a cat to feed. A hungry cat today for some reason as well. Tomorrow onwards, I will be updating all of my things like LinkedIn and my CV and all of that sort of shizzle, and just going through the normal procedures. The options for me also are that I could go self-employed. So I'm considering becoming my own boss, as it were. Just looking at the options of that, setting up my own small business doing bespoke furniture design and build and outdoor landscaping and decking and things like that, which I can do. It doesn't mean I'm an expert at it, and certainly one deck does not a summer make. However, I have done decks before, or maybe doing some internal design. I'm looking at the options on that. At the moment, I'm using the company PCs at home. I have ordered my own second-hand CAD PC, so that if I want to do my own design work, I will be able to do it off my own back. So the software I use for it is very expensive. It's about £5,000. So I have to decide whether it's worth that investment to start my own business. It's probably not something I'm going to look at much before Christmas. Well, that's not true. I have looked at it quite in depth, and I've looked at the government websites about small businesses and so on and so forth. and you know, how to start up and whether to become a limited company or sole trader, and all of the uninteresting stuff, and registering for VAT and that sort of thing. But actually, with regards to looking at the job market, that will probably be either next week or after Christmas. I haven't had a holiday for 2 years, so I'm kind of having a week off this week. Yeah, so those really are the options. And if I do purchase the software, then I could go as a subcontract, CAD monkey, as we call ourselves, where we, you know, do designs for other people. We will see. The reason for saying this, I say, is A, because clearly I'm a creature of habit, and B, there are lessons always to be learned, and I always say this to you guys, and you would find out eventually anyway, but I thought I'd tell you now because I can officially tell you now, and equally because AGI are our major kit sponsor, so I'm guessing that means they won't be sponsoring us anymore. But just to make it clear, I have no axe to grind with my employers. The markets change, COVID changes a lot, and I am one of hundreds of thousands of other people who have suffered the consequences of that, and that is absolutely fine, really. There are families out there who don't even know whether they're going to have enough money to put food on the table at Christmas, so I really don't want you to think I'm complaining about it, because I'm not. So yeah, so that was what was meant to be a very short and on the other ear, that was my very short, what was going to be my very short information about my current job situation and why I haven't been rushed off my chair for a few weeks. But anyway, so there we go. So what's in today's news? Well, it's really sad actually. I hear that Gerard Houllier, former Liverpool manager, died today, which is sad for me. Gerard Houllier was the personification of everything I like in managers. He was respectful, he was knowledgeable, he was an all-round nice guy, and I don't think I've ever heard, apart from, you know, fans sometimes who whinge about tactics and what have you, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say a bad thing about him. He was a top man, and he'll be missed to football. So yes, very sad news indeed. What else? Today's lesson, right? So I'm going to read today because it's quite long. I could just spout it off the top of my head again, but once again, the way it's written on the website, which I found, so thanks to the History Channel for today's info, it's the Christmas tree. Now, I always knew that Christmas tree was not a Christmas tradition, a Christian Christmas tradition, and you'll find out why when I read it to you in a bit. So I will jump on the machine in a bit, but in the interim, I've got to get the cat off me. She looks pretty damn comfortable there. Oh, and one other thing. So Tracy, you know, we were discussing mistletoe yesterday, so thank you to Tracy, who sent me a couple of pictures from last year that she took of mistletoe up a tree. You know, I said mistletoe tends to grow up trees. Still haven't quite worked out why, but perhaps it's because the birds like it up there. But anyway, so I'll add them to the end of the vlog as well. So thanks for those pictures. And yes, so if you're ready, I still haven't got a pointer to do lessons, and you know, a mortar, whatever they're called, those hat things, and a cape. But we will have today's lesson in a bit. If you can just close your pencil cases and make sure your phones are off, that will be good. And I will see you in the classroom shortly, won't we? Might be longer than shortly. Right, so if you are sitting comfortably, let's start today's lesson. Laura, stop chewing gum. Ryan, stop swearing. Here we go. You ready? This is the history of the Christmas tree, and it goes back to the symbolic use of evergreens in ancient Egypt and Rome, and continues with the German tradition of candlelit Christmas trees, first brought to America in the 1800s. I might have said to you before, actually, my favourite Christmas song actually is Silent Night, which is German. Originally, it was called Stille Nacht, and I have actually sung that in the show in German once. It is such a fabulous Christmas song. But anyway, so here we go. They were first brought to America in the 1800s. Discoverer of the history of the Christmas tree, from the earliest winter solstice celebrations to Queen Victoria's decorating habits and the annual lighting of the Rockefeller Center tree in New York City. Right. Tree start. So long before the advent of Christianity, plants and trees that remained green all year had a special meaning for people in the winter, just as people today decorate their own homes during the festive season with pine, spruce and fir trees. Ancient peoples hung evergreen boughs over their doors and windows. In many countries, it was believed that evergreens would keep away witches, ghosts, evil spirits and illness. Do you reckon that'll work for COVID this year? We'll see. Although, to be fair, since I've lived here, I've never had, if I put up Christmas decorations, I've never had a witch at the door. But I have had a salesman trying to sell me something. I can't remember what it was. Probably dusters. Anyway. Did you know Christmas trees are grown in all 50 states in America? Well, say all 50, there are actually 52, aren't there? But 50 states, including Hawaii and Alaska. Incredible, because you think they only grow in the cooler northern climates. But anyway, in the northern hemisphere, the shortest day and longest night of the year falls on December the 21st or December the 22nd and is called the winter solstice. Many ancient people believed that the sun was a god and that winter came every year because the sun god had become sick and weak. They celebrated the solstice because it meant that at last the sun god would begin to get well. Evergreen boughs reminded them all of the green plants that would grow again when the sun god was strong and summer would return. And it's worth noting that in a couple of weeks, we are at the middle of our darker period. So actually, from the new year, things start to improve. The nights get lighter, gets warmer eventually, although our cold weather does tend to be in January and February. But anyway, the ancient Egyptians worshipped a god called Ra. Ra! That's not how you pronounce it, but it's R-A, who had the head of a hawk and wore the sun as a blazing disc in his crown. At the solstice, when Ra began to recover from his illness, the Egyptians filled their homes with green palm rushes, which symbolized for them the triumph of life over death. Early Romans marked the solstice with a feast called Saturnalia, in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture. The Romans knew that the solstice meant that soon farms and orchards would be green and fruitful. To mark the occasion, they decorated their homes and temples with evergreen boughs. In northern Europe, the mysterious Druids, the priests of the ancient Celts, also decorated their temples with evergreen boughs as a symbol of everlasting life. The fierce Vikings in Scandinavia thought that evergreens were the special plant of the sun god Balder. So Christmas trees from Germany. So Germany is credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition as we now know it in the 16th century, when devout Christians brought decorated trees into their homes. Some built Christmas pyramids of wood and decorated them with evergreens and candles. If wood was scarce, it is a widely held belief that Martin Luther, the 16th century Protestant reformer, not Martin Luther King, the black civil rights activist, first added lighted candles to a tree. Walking towards his home one winter evening, whilst composing a sermon, He was awed by the brilliance of stars twinkling amidst evergreens. To recapture the scene for his family, he erected a tree in the main room and wired its branches with lighted candles. Okay, let's have a look. We don't want to know about Christmas trees in America, do we? Okay. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. The Rockefeller Center tree is located at Rockefeller Center, west of Fifth Avenue in America. From 47th through 51 streets in New York City. The Rockefeller Christmas tree dates back to the Depression era. The tallest tree displayed at Rockefeller Center arrived in 1948. It was a Norway spruce that measured 100 feet tall and hailed from Killingworth, Connecticut. Christmas trees around the world. Okay. German settlers migrated to Canada from the United States in the 1700s. They brought with them many of the things associated with Christmas that we cherish today. Advent calendars, gingerbread houses, cookies, and Christmas trees. When Queen Victoria's German husband, Prince Albert, put up a Christmas tree at Windsor Castle in 1848, the Christmas tree became a tradition throughout England, the United States, and Canada. In Great Britain, the Norway spruce is the traditional species used to decorate homes. The Norway spruce was a native species in the British Isles before the last ice age and was reintroduced here before the 1500s. Why it's called the Norway spruce then? It should be called the British spruce. Christmas trees in Greenland. Christmas trees are imported as no trees live this far north. They are decorated with candles and bright ornaments in Greenland too. In Guatemala, the Christmas tree has joined the Nacimiento, the nativity scene, as a popular ornament because of the large German population in Guatemala. Gifts are left under the tree on Christmas morning for the children. Parents and adults do not exchange gifts until New Year's Day. There are others, but there are a lot of them. So in Sweden, most people buy Christmas trees well before Christmas Eve, but it's not common to take the tree inside and decorate it until just a few days before. Evergreen trees are decorated with stars, sunbursts and snowflakes made from straw. Other decorations include colourful wooden animals and straw centerpieces. Christmas trees in Norway. We were talking about the Norwegian spruce just now. Nowadays, Norwegians often take a trip to the woods to select a Christmas tree, a trip that their grandfathers probably did not make. The Christmas tree was not introduced into Norway from Germany until the latter half of the 19th century. To the country districts, it came even later. When Christmas Eve arrives, there is the decoration of the tree, usually done by the parents behind the closed doors of the living room while the children wait with excitement outside. A Norwegian ritual known as circling the Christmas tree follows, where everyone joins hands to form a ring around the tree and then walk around it singing carols. Afterwards, the gifts are distributed. So, we've got some Christmas tree trivia here. Christmas trees have been sold commercially since about 1850. In 1979, the national Christmas tree was not lighted except for the top ornament. This was done in honour of the American hostages in Iran. This is the American national Christmas tree. The tallest living Christmas tree is believed to be the 122-foot, 91-year-old Douglas fir in the town of Woodinville in Washington. Just finding some more stuff. Teddy Roosevelt banned the Christmas tree in America from the White House for environmental reasons. In the first week, a tree in your home will consume as much as a quart of water per day. You can tell it's American. A quart of water. Tinsel was once banned by the government in the US. Tinsel contained lead at one time. Now it's made of plastic. Yeah, we know that. The best-selling trees are Scotch pine, Douglas fir, Fraser fir, balsam fir, white pine and the Norwegian spruce. So there you go. That's today's history of the Christmas tree, which was quite long and drawn out. I accept that. This is probably the longest vlog I've done. I did waffle on earlier. I've said to you guys, sometimes it's good to write stuff down. Sometimes it's good to shoot from the hip and not have a script. So, but that does come with a caveat that that I will talk nonsense during that time as well. So, I'm off to the Moos later. I might get her to do the Christmas cracker gags, which could be, not necessarily, but it could be Christmas tree theme today. See you in a bit. Welcome back. Well, I asked the Moo if she wanted to do today's jokes du jour, her first ones, but unfortunately she was sick all over my shirt and then fell asleep. So I actually smell of formula milk and rice and am now going to tell you them myself. What do you get if you cross a Christmas tree and a MacBook? Pineapples. Pineapples, you see. Pine and an apple. Pineapples. So pine leaves. Pine needles. It's not leaves, is it? What a plum. Sack me now. So yes, that's number one. Number two, I say it's a joke, it's a fact. I went in to buy my Christmas tree the other day. You see it there. That is real. It's a real fake one. It's really fake. Anyway, I went in to buy it the other day, and I said to the guy, I'm looking for a Christmas tree, and he said, that one's quite big. He said, will you be putting it up yourself, sir? And I said, no. I thought about having it in the lounge. That's a bit smutty, isn't it? Anywho, on that note, thanks for your patience, and be safe.